What is the one thing you can do to your sim racing setup to take it from impressive to absolutely unbelievable? Add motion. Whoa!
What we're looking at here is the new Qubic QS210, a new motion system aimed squarely at sim races with the aim of turning your sim racing experience to 11.
The awesome thing about this new motion system is that Qubic have tried to make this as affordable as possible. Obviously, affordability is relative, but the question is, what has it been like to go from no motion to full motion, and is it actually worth it?
But before we get there, who the heck are Qubic?
Qubic was born from their mother company Motion Systems, who are known for making some pretty saucy sims, such as ones for tanks, 360-degree flight sims, and many more commercial applications. Now, they've had a lot of experience making sim racing stuff before, but those things look very intimidating compared to this thing, which looks a little bit more accessible and home-friendly.
So it sounds pretty promising. With that kind of experience, a motion sim for sim races should be fairly easy.
The cool thing about these is that they're haptic feedback modules, meaning that you get the vibration through the chassis to make you feel like you're in a car. You can feel the engine whir, you can go over the curbs, and it feels awesome.
In the box, you get 4 motion actuators that have 60mm of travel. These work together to create the 3 degrees of freedom: pitch, roll, and heave.
These are really powerful. They have an acceleration of 400 meters per second, which is very fast. This thing has an 8 millisecond response time, meaning that what happens on the screen in game is transferred to the motion actuators faster than a human can blink.
And the price? €5,850. Now, if that sounds like a lot of money to you, then actually that's quite reasonable because it is a lot of money. But the question is it actually worth it?
So on paper, this thing sounds really good. But what is it actually like to drive? Before we get there though, in the next 60 seconds, I'm gonna tell you 5 things I didn't realize about motion before I had it. Pre-motion, you could just take any curbs like a champ, not having to worry about actually feeling the effects of what you're doing, as we are here at the Gold Coast. But when you actually have motion, you're thinking twice about those curbs because they can hurt. Once you've tried motion, racing without it just doesn't feel the same anymore. You don't have the same sense of immersiveness. I find myself just switching it on each time and it changes the experience immediately, as you can see there.
Virtual reality with a motion sim is much less nauseating, and especially when you've got one like this that has incredible software that does the compensation for you. You gain more appreciation at how brave the real life drivers must be, especially on places like Laguna's Corkscrew. The elevation change is much more obvious.
Less is more, because motion systems aren't about recreating G-force, they're about recreating the cues and the sensation to make your brain think that you're going through a certain movement. When you have too much movement, it's distracting and stops you from actually racing properly. It's great for things like flying and going off-road, but when it comes to track driving, less is more.
Unless we're talking about subscribers, in which case more is more. So if you're enjoying this video, please subscribe.
Now it's time to go for a drive and put this thing through its paces. Now I'm using the Next Level Racing Ferrari edition, so I thought it would be rude not to dress for the occasion. We're going to do a couple of laps at Imola in an F1 car in a Assetto Corsa, and I'm going to tell you what this thing is actually like in real time. Okay then, we are rolling, and the important part is to really get this get the belt on, because it does feel quite violent. So first thing we're going to talk about is the haptic feedback. Honestly, the sensation of feeling the vibration of the car, and it gets higher as you increase the revs, so it does add to the immersion. You can actually tweak that really well, because if it feels like it's too much for you, then you can just turn it down. You also get vibration in terms of going over the curbs, and you can also get the vibration for wheel slip, which gives you an idea about which wheel is slipping, which does actually help you when it comes to going through the corners as we go off the track just there. And yeah, you can turn it down. I live in an apartment, so having really loud haptics isn't ideal for the people down below me, so it's nice that Qubic gives you the ability to actually change those things at will. Now the other thing is the gear shift sensation. When you shift gear, you get this kick in the back that tells you that you're in a very powerful car that is trying to make very fast progress. That sensation feels awesome, and this really does a good job of, oh no,
are you okay?
And when you crash like I did just there, it actually feels 10 times scarier because you have that sensation of motion. And that's a great thing about this, is it's got a violent movement suppression mode. Essentially, if it detects a movement over a certain speed, it will slow it down so that you don't fall off the rig. So, you know, seatbelts definitely needed. Now, this is a 3 degree of freedom motion rig, meaning that it replicates pitch, which is up and down like that, roll, and heave, which is going up and down. So those things go together in a way to try and make your brain think that things are happening in the car even though you are stationary. So you know when you brake like this, it pitches forward just a little bit to give you that sensation. When you're going around the corners, there's a little bit of tilt to make you feel that kind of lateral sensation. Now, I actually found myself to be the same in terms of my ability to drive round tracks on this. I don't think I'm slower, which is a lot of people's worry. I actually think that this helps my ability to drive rather than making me slower, which is not what I expected. Obviously, that depends on the settings you have. If you have this set too high, it will be hard to actually set some decent lap times. So my advice is to actually keep this at a level that's actually reasonable.
Terrifying crashes aside, my experience with the Qubic QS210 has been pretty good. I've enjoyed using this thing on an almost daily basis for the last month or so, and it hasn't skipped a beat. Notable mention goes to the excellent Qubic software, which lets you tweak so many things to your heart's content. You really feel the power in this device, and it definitely elevates my sim racing and F1 experience to levels that I didn't think were possible. There were no compatibility issues with all the games I tried it with, which are popular titles like iRacing F1 23 and Assetto Corsa, and it supports a whole load more.
So we find ourselves at the end of the video with the question, is the QS210 actually worth it? Now, I'm obviously going to say a resounding yes. This thing is awesome. In comparison to things that I've used before, this thing is comparatively much stronger, responds faster, and feels that much better at a lower price. Now, obviously, if you want to buy one of these things, you can't get them direct from Qubic. You're going to have to go to one of the distributors. The one for North America and Canada, the main one at least, is Pit Lane Sim Racing, who I'm doing some awesome content with in the future. There'll also be the other distributors that are around Europe and Asia. Now, I've got some awesome plans with this thing. I'm going to be making so many videos in different ways and exploring the limitations of a motion sim. Now, if you enjoy this video, as I said before, it's really helpful for you to like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram. Feel free to ask me some questions over there. I've got some really cool stuff coming. Till next time, see you later.